Welcome to Donington Park, where the famous Spitfire adorns the Craner curves. We've got rounds 9 and 10 of the National Saloon Cup for you. Well, during pre-race testing for the 9th and 10th rounds, Mark Lemmer was the quickest of all. However, Lemmer ended his day with a spin in the gravel towards the end of the second session. He's not carried that speed through to the qualifying session to determine the grid for round 9, because there, on pole position, is the championship leader, Simon Harrison. Tony Rukkinen is alongside him in the Peugeot 306 GTi. Harrison, incidentally, in one of many Honda Integras. And there on the inside of the second row is Dan Eves, and alongside him, the Nissan Primera of David Shaw. Well, it's bound to be a fascinating battle. Roger Moan is back. We welcome Roger back to the series. More of the reasons why he's been away in a short while. Let's just focus, though, on the red lights. They're on. The engine notes rising. Who's going to get away first? Will we get a smooth start? There's the green lights. Oh, Harrison nearly went there. Cracking start by Dan Eves to the second row. Everybody safely away. I don't like that four abreast coming down towards Redgate there, the final row. But let's watch Harrison. Is he going to get into the corner first? Yes, he is. Lemmer makes a good start in the Honda Integra, the white and lime-covered Integra. Number 8 up ahead. Oh, Brian Ward's got it all squirrely there. Keep the power in, Brian. Keep the foot down and you'll get through the gravel. He's going to scatter that all across the option, but side by side through the Craner curves is only for the brave and hugely courageous. And Mark Lemmer and David Shaw are that in good handfuls. And Lemmer through to second place as meantime in the middle there is Richard Mace scurrying across the grass. Oh, and also a spinner is Dave Allen. It's all happening here. Dear oh me. Well, they'll all recover, they've all sorted themselves out. Brian Ward will come back under Starkey's bridge, he rejoins. Meantime, we ride with Roger Moan, who's here in 5th place. Harrison continues to lead from Lemmer. Mark Lemmer there in 2nd place. Cracking start by Lemmer, who's 5th on the grid and has already scurried his way through to be 2nd. Oh, Kermit! What are you doing on the grass there? That's the Frenchman with the pseudonym Kermit, and he's spun his Proton into the inside, but he'll rejoin from there, I'm sure. Now, talking about Shaw, he's in 3rd place, but Harrison leads with it for the Honda. There's a second Honda second, then it's Nissan, Honda and Peugeot. Oh, contact there! Tony Rukkinen, sideways, well held, sir. The Scandinavian, absolutely sideways coming out of Goddard. Hit by Roger Moan, I think. Oh, and he swings across in front of Roger Moan. I mentioned this is Roger Moan's first visit back to the National Saloon Cup, as Brian Ward is having a very eventful time. Rotates through 360 degrees coming out of Goddard. Just back to Roger Moan for a second. He's had a very serious arm infection. Still can't straighten his arm fully yet, but said earlier today that he's absolutely thrilled to be back in the car and racing, and he's certainly putting that to good effect. As across the grass has gone Nick James. I'm just beginning to wonder whether there's some oil been laid down at the Craner curves, because they're all over the place. In fact, there's another spinner. Des Smale absolutely obliterating the marker board there. They're made of polystyrene foam, so it doesn't damage the car in any way, but somebody's got a sweeping up to job to do. Now we're back with the race leaders. Harrison being hunted down here by Mark Lemmer. Mark Lemmer riding his wheel tracks. 3rd place there is David Shaw, looking to pick up any crumbs of comfort that might be offered his way. It's a little bit squirrely moment there for Mark Lemmer. Lemmer to the inside. I don't think he's close enough. He'll clip. Oh, he's pushed Harrison up onto the grass, and Lemmer does go through, and so too does David Shaw. So Harrison forced into a mistake there, the championship leader. Mark Lemmer is our new leader, and David Shaw our new 2nd place man. Now Harrison's got to regather his thoughts. He's mentioned before he leads the championship coming into this event, does Harrison, and he's looking really to try and score consistent points. Now here's a replay of a moment just a lap or so ago. We're riding with Roger Moan. He gets down the inside of Tony Rukkinen. It's the battle for 4, and watch how Moan, as Rukkinen goes to the inside of it, bang, knocks him out onto the grass, and really big time sideways for Tony Rukkinen. Now, further back, there's Barry Barnes going through. Richard Mains, who recovered from that first lap spin. And so, talking about first lap spins, Dave Allen also having had that one as well. Well, we've not lost anybody as yet. Mark Lemmer, David Shaw, Simon Harrison and Tony Rukkinen are the leading 4. A gap then back to 5th place, Roger Moan. And a gap further back to the 2nd of the 2 Peugeot 306 GTIs of Dan Eves. Eves, of course, a winner earlier in the year. Very pleased he was too with that victory, and obliterating the bollards on the apex of the left-hander that leads them back onto the straight to complete another lap. It's all go, isn't it? Well, Roger Moan, I suspect, will be pleased to be where he is in 5th place. He'd much rather, I suspect, be right there up the front at Redgate, which is where the battle is raging for the top 4 positions. Remind you that Mark Lemmer is still the leader Now, Lemmer has had a bit of news this morning. There's been a number of appeals going on and a number of championship penalties that have been considered. Mark Lemmer is racing with a ban hanging over him at the moment, a one-race ban for some what was judged to be careless driving at the previous round at Silverstone. Into the pit lane comes Richard May, so Lemmer's going to have to be particularly careful as he runs out wide, but David Shaw runs even wider in the Nissan. Well, hell, David Shaw, he's dropped him back though into the clutches of Simon Harrison. Harrison will be thinking of having a go at him now as they go through Schwantz Curve, the left-hander, named after Kevin Schwantz, the motorcycle racer, through McLean's, in front of the stand where the Donington Park Supporters Association have their view of Donington's fine facility, and Harrison can't find a way through. He might just be a bit preoccupied with Tony Rukkinen, because Rukkinen is looking to try and have a move, is he? They're going to slipstream each other past the vast exhibition centre here on the main straight and down into Goddard. It's a favourite place for overtaking, and Simon Harrison's going to execute a fine manoeuvre. Huge bit of curve he takes there. He doesn't run onto the grass this time, so Harrison will come through this time in second position, and Tony Rukkinen locks out. He dips out in the Peugeot. They're going to be three abreast down into Redgate. Harrison with the inside line. He needs to move across to what is the left-hand side of the circuit for him. The right-hand side for us. It's the completion of lap 6, so half distance completed. A 12-lap race here at Donington. And with another one later today, which might also explain why everybody's taking it reasonably steadily. They don't want to have to be rebuilding cars between the two events. Now, further back, Dave Allen is trying everything to get past. It's not going to work, Dave. He's overcooked it at the S's, and well, he completes the lap anyway. Now, I tell you who's having a really good run. Rick Kramer in the number 7 car. Nick James is tucked in right behind him. The two Honda Integra R's fighting it out, and James has been trying to find a way past Rick Kramer. It's not worked out for him yet, but here come the leaders once again. Mark Lemmer in number 8, a gap then back of about 1.5 seconds to Simon Harrison. Harrison, though, is about to see a challenge, or feel a challenge, is he, from Tony Rukkinen? Rukkinen, well, he didn't have a look out. I suspect he might have just had a look there, but he won't do. David Shaw still holds on to 4th place, and here's a titanic struggle going on between Roger Moan on the outside, and Moan loses the place. Dan Eves has reeled him in over the last few laps. Eves is the new 5th place man. Moan sort of shrugs across to his pit wall and says, nothing I could do, boys, I promise you. So 6th place still for the Norwegian Roger Moan. Had a great start to the year, did Moan, and sadly, as we said before, that arm infection has seen him away from the track for a couple of rounds. That's all but finished his championship battle, but there's no such finish to the championship contention for Simon Harrison. 2nd placed as he is. There's a good strap going on further down. Barry Barnes in the silver number 3 Escort with Brian Ward. Ward's gathered himself back up after those 2 spins on the opening lap. One where he found himself deep in gravel at Redgate. And also in that group is young Andrew Delahunty in the Toyota Carina, another manufacturer brought into the championship. Delahunty's local circuit, in fact. He's lives not just far up the road from here at Donington. But we're back with our race leader. Mark Lemmer continues to build his lead, and as far as his lap times are concerned, well, in fact, behind him Simon Harrison is marginally quicker. On that previous lap, Simon Harrison was 6/10 almost quicker. So is Harrison resurgent in his bid to get back to the front here? You can hear how Roger Moan's working that engine on his Honda, really high revving, drops it down through the gears, moves across to the apex, and you don't want to take too much curve on the exit there. Now, setting yourself up for the Craner curves is very difficult. I'm talking about the Craner curves, that's going to be a bitter blow for the Bowman prepared Peugeot of Dan Eves, a retirement for Eves. Well, Tony Rukkinen still upholding honours as far as they're concerned. 9 laps completed now, and Des Smale under pressure from Dave Allen, and Allen just slots on through. Is Allen going to run wide though? And Des Smale might try and come back at him. Those two will be side by side. Talking about catching, I mentioned how Simon Harrison's lap times were tumbling in comparison to Mark Lemmer's, and Lemmer at the moment now is really up against it. Rukkinen is right there in 3rd place, Simon Harrison in 2nd. So as they come up along the back marker, Kermit, who we saw have that spin earlier on the grass at McLean's, Lemmer will be wanting to make sure he can get his way past Kermit, but Simon Harrison down the inside of Redgate. Lemmer moves across though. Perfectly entitled to do that. It is the racing line after all, up onto the top of the hill. It's the Integra of Lemmer, the Integra of Harrison, followed by the Peugeot of Tony Rukkinen. Now, as far as championship's concerned, I mentioned that Simon Harrison leads the championship. He's on 101 points, but tied on 84 points. Remember, there are 20 points for a win. We've got David Shaw, who is lying back further from this leading trio. But, of course, Mark Lemmer, who we're looking at now, is also tied equal in second place in the championship. So a finish for him ahead of Simon Harrison is absolutely vital. You get 20 points for a win, and you get 15 points for second place. So it's a chance here for Mark Lemmer to pull in some of the advantage that Simon Harrison's established. At the moment, Harrison's advantage points-wise is 17 points. And remember, after the completion of the 2 rounds here at Donington Park, there are 4 races remaining. Now, second place, I'll tell you, Mark Lemmer would be absolutely thrilled if Tony Rukkinen could get past Simon Harrison, because that would knock him back a further place, and a further 3 points advantage will go then to Lemmer, 12 points for third place. David Shaw is back in 4th, but the back marker there is the lime green car of Kermit, and Harrison is now sniffing around the rear end of Mark Lemmer's car as they go through Hollywood and up onto the top of the Craner curves. It's pretty blind through there, and you've got to try and position the car to just clip that bit of curbing and then lift the wheel. The left-hand rear wheel really does rise up there as you go through the second part of the Craners. A little bit of a dab on the brakes, or if you can carry the momentum through as Tony Rukkinen's done there, you can get right on terms with the car ahead. I think Rukkinen had to lift there. He just carried so much speed through the old hairpin that it pulled him right in touch with Harrison. You can see the damaged bodywork there from Mark Lemmer's car from an earlier incident in the day. Lemmer about to come up on Barry Barnes. So into the closing couple of laps now for Mark Lemmer. Really was all his main work was done in the first run down to Redgate, the opening 200 metres or so. Lemmer, having qualified in 5th place, just surged by, was 3rd on as they arrived at Redgate. He was 2nd as they came out of Redgate, and then it was a matter of just cruising on by, and there is the checkered flag. A victory for Mark Lemmer over Simon Harrison. David Shaw will come through to pick up 4th place, Tony Rukkinen having already taken 3rd. Well, that was all a bit of fun, wasn't it? Great scrap between these 3. And let's just watch Roger Moan coming back. Eventful would be the word I'd use for Roger Moan. He had that coming together with Tony Rukkinen, but Roger Moan will come back to take the flag in 5th place. And here's the battle for 6th. It's still raging. Rick Kramer and Nick James, and Kramer in 7 is going to hold it, I'm sure, unless Nick James is going to try a flying tackle up the inside. It'd be from a long way back as well. He'd have to forget about the middle pedal. He's not going to do that though. Rick Kramer takes 6th place. Well, there they are, up on top of the podium in the centre, Mark Lemmer, and there's confirmation of the result for round 9. Lemmer takes the victory over Harrison, Tony Rukkinen 3rd, Shaw, Moan and Kramer 4th, 5th and 6th.
Yeah, it was a tough race. I was looking forward to a dry race because we know that we developed some new Öhlins dampers over the last couple of days. We had to find some speed after the Grand Prix meeting, and we found that, so I knew I had a good car, but it was obviously a fight to get to the front. That was a good clean scrap. I don't know what happened with Dan on the first corner. He appeared to miss a gear or something, so that was about the only shuffling the race, but power steering went halfway through, and it was a bit like driving the old touring car again. I thought it was a puncture, but luckily it was the power steering.
So you had to work for your win then?
Yeah, it was certainly hard work, but luckily it's only a 12-lapper, so I'm very pleased. The team's done an excellent job.
And they'll have to do it again. Round 10 after the break.